Hey, welcome. I'm here at the Computer Museum of America. My name is Lewin, and I have a company called New Earth Entertainment where we develop and publish video games. Now, I first got my start in the gaming industry really back when I was a child, playing video games and falling in love with virtual worlds. But as I grew older and my skill sets hardened and I started to become more interested in what this world was doing in the industry of entertainment, I started to learn programming and art skills and things like that and develop my own video games. So what is gaming, though, you may ask? And really you can break it down into something very esoteric, which is interaction. Gaming has something that no other medium has, and that is this element of interaction. Interactivity of painting, you view and you appreciate it. Same with a TV show or a film, a book. These are all passive mediums. But gaming has this really unique element to engage people directly, and I think that's very powerful. And you can see that in different industries where gaming can help teach young children and young adults and even older adults how to problem solve, math skills, programming, different kinds of software engineering and hacking. It can teach you working together as a team, collaborative efforts, how to drive a car, how to handle weaponry, how to operate on a patient in a doctor's office. So all of these skill sets, where we came from a very old school and rudimentary age of pixels and coins, now we have these full virtual reality experiences where you can simulate being in a doctor's office or a surgical room and performing a surgery. And this can lead to very beneficial experience that you can take with you into a career in the military or in the medical field or in software, finance, you name it. So what better place to start in this topic than the grandfather of video games? Many histories of different technologies, some of the starting and stopping points are blurry, but if you want to start in what is the first and definitive console, gaming console that people could take home back in the day, it would be the Magnavox Odyssey. And this was engineered by Ralph Baer, an American-German engineer back in 1972, and was put out by Magnavox. Now, of course, this is very rudimentary, and not many people remember this, as well as the Atari 2600 or the Nintendo Entertainment System. But it was important because it pioneered the very start of a concept that really took the world by storm, is that people could have a entertainment set-top box within their own homes. They didn't have to go to an arcade, they didn't have to pay money. They just did a one-time fee to purchase the entertainment device, and they had it, they owned it. And you'll see, obviously, throughout the decades that that has become the new standard. And so this Magnavox Odyssey set that standard. Now, the video game timeline wouldn't be complete without mentioning Nolan Bushnell. So, of course, Ralph Baer kicked things off, but Nolan Bushnell was the pioneer, the seasoned veteran of his time. He was the creator of Atari and, of course, of a couple games, just a little game called Pong, Breakout. You've probably heard of these. Now, the Atari 2600 took the world by storm. I mean, this was the most accessible gaming home console that was out there at the time. And, of course, they had their competitors, but if you told, a 12-year-old back in the 1980s that he could have an arcade-like experience in the comfort of his own home, well, that's what happened, during all of the Christmases throughout the early 80s. Now, of course, no big fad is without its downfall, and there was a time where video games were thought of just as a fad. And one particular game is infamous for pushing that scale, tipping it, and causing what's known as the crash of the video game industry in 1983. And that was a little game called E.T. This was based off of the movie, of course, the Spielberg film, and the programmer only had 5 weeks to program it to make it in time to get to store shelves by that Christmas. And of course, 5 weeks is not time to do much of anything, and it was a huge flop, and it began to destroy the idea that maybe these aren't true and faithful arcade ports. They're just trying to get money out of you, and they're just pushing games out there. Pac-Man was another port that was particularly bad on the Atari 2600. So for a long time, video games lay dormant until a small, you've probably heard of them, small little giant of a company called Nintendo came in 1985 and totally turned things around.